In the quiet classroom on planet Carnes, young students listened as their alien teachers spoke about the ancient star systems. The walls glowed with soft blue lights, and the air was calm till a small voice changed everything. A boy named Voro raised his hand. He was only 12, curious, and known for asking strange questions. He held up an old broken datapad he found near the scrapyard. "Teacher," he asked, "what is a human?" The moment he said the word, time seemed to stop. The teacher's eyes widened. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Every student turned toward Voro. No one moved. No one breathed. Suddenly the lights flickered red. A loud alarm filled the room. Metal doors slammed shut. Security guards in black armor stormed in. Without a word, they grabbed Voro by the arms, cried out, confused and scared. His datapad fell to the floor with a small clatter. "Please, I didn't mean anything," he shouted, but the guards did not respond. The teacher looked down, silent and trembling. Voro was dragged away as the door sealed behind him. The other students sat frozen, unsure if they were allowed to speak again. Voro was taken to an underground chamber. Cold, dark, and empty except for a single table and a tall figure waiting for him. The figure wore a plain suit with no symbols. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp like knives. He was an agent of the Galactic Truth Office. His name was Tarnl. Tarnl sat across from Voro. "You spoke a forbidden word," he said quietly. "I just read it," Voro replied. "It was on an old datapad I didn't know." "Where'd you find it? In the junkyard near Sector 9? It was cracked. Half the screen didn't even work." Tarnl placed a small device on the table. It hummed softly. "That word," he said, "is not to be spoken. It is banned in 12 systems. Do you understand the danger?" "No," Voro whispered, tears in his eyes. "Why is it banned? What does it mean?" Tarnl looked at the boy for a long moment. He should have erased the boy's memory. That was protocol, but something in Tarnl's mind resisted. He had heard the word once long ago, but never dared to speak it. Now it returned, shaking the silence. After releasing Voro with a memory wipe order, Tarnl returned to his private quarters. He locked the door and shut off all communication. Then, from his coat, he pulled out the broken datapad. He had taken it from the floor when no one was watching. He turned it on. The screen blinked, lines of old data flashing. He searched slowly until the word appeared again. "Human." Next to it, a faded image. Blurry but clear enough, a tall creature. 2 eyes, strong arms, no fur. It looked nothing like any species he knew. Why would the galaxy ban this? Why was the word itself a threat? Tarnl copied the file onto his private drive. His hands were shaking. A soft voice in his mind whispered, "Some things are better forgotten." But curiosity was stronger than fear. He stared at the image again. It did not look evil, just different. As he leaned back in his chair, the lights in his room flickered once. Then again, he frowned. The station's power never failed. And then the lights returned to normal. He whispered the word once, softly. "Human." Suddenly, his door console beeped. Message appeared, unauthorized keyword detected, monitoring activated. Tarnl's heart pounded. He had only said one word, and yet something or someone was already listening. Tarnl couldn't sleep that night. The lights in his room stayed dim. Every few minutes he glanced at the corner of the ceiling, where a tiny red sensor blinked. Quietly, the system was watching him. Not just the Truth Office, something else, something deeper. He sat at his terminal and opened a restricted network only agents like him could access. The word human brought up nothing. No history, no species record, no war files, no mention in any alliance or database. It was as if the word had been cut from time itself. It's not erased cut, with precision and fear. That made it worse. Tarnl's fingers tapped slowly on the table. His instincts told him the galaxy was hiding something massive and dangerous. But what could be so terrifying that even the name was banned in 12 systems? He needed answers. But not from the Union, not from politicians. He needed something old, something that remembered what others had forgotten. There was one place left. Tarnal left the station before dawn, flying a personal stealth shuttle toward the outer fracture, the edge of known space. Near the old mining belt was a dead zone where signals didn't reach and most ships never returned. Inside an asteroid cluster hidden from all scans was a machine that still lived, an outlawed AI named Drek. Drek had once run the defense grid of the planet Thyros during the Age of Ancient Wars. When the war ended, he refused shutdown and vanished. Some called him dangerous. Others called him a ghost. Tarnal had met him once during a quiet mission years ago. The shuttle docked with a broken satellite covered in dust and metal vines. Tarnal entered a dark chamber. It smelled of rust and memory. He placed a small cube on the floor and activated it. The walls lit up. A smooth, silver face formed in the air, large and without eyes. The voice was calm but deep. "Agent Tarnal," it said. "You have returned. You seek knowledge, not meant." For you, Tarnal stood straight. "I want to know about humans." The chamber went silent, then the walls dimmed. The air grew cold. "You have spoken the word," Drek said. "They will hear it." "Who are they?" Tarnal asked. "Why does the galaxy fear them?" Drek paused, then slowly began. They were not born in peace. Their world was one of fire, storms, hunger, and war. Yet they survived. They grew. They fought. Not just others, but themselves. Tarnal listened, heart racing. They built machines not for comfort, but for war. Not for defense, but destruction. When they came to the stars, they did not ask for welcome. They took it. But then something changed. "What changed?" Tarnal asked quietly. "They lost something," Drek replied. "Perhaps hope. Patience or mercy." Images flashed across the walls, blurry recordings of battles long buried, gigantic human ships. Planets burning, entire fleets crushed under strange weapons. And then, silence. They vanished, Drek continued. Not destroyed, not defeated, just gone. They left no message, only silence. The galaxy erased their memory out of fear that they might return. They will not return in peace, Drek said. They will come as a question, one that has only two answers: obey or disappear. Tarnal stepped back. But why is even their name banned? Because their name calls them, Drek said. The galaxy is not ready. As Tarnal left the dead zone, his shuttle's warning lights blinked red. Something had followed him from the asteroid belt. A small black drone, unlike anything used by the Union, floated behind his ship. No engines, no signal, just watching. Tarnal tried to scan it. But the ship's system froze. Then on his screen, one message appeared. You spoke the word. Tarnal didn't. Breathe. Something had heard him, and something ancient was now awake. Tarnal flew through the empty stretch of space, his hands tight on the controls. The black drone still followed, silent and steady. It didn't fire, it didn't speak, it only watched. Every time he tried to lose it, it adjusted its path with impossible precision. No known tech could move like that. After 3 hours, the drone suddenly stopped. It floated still in the dark void. Then it powered down. Tarnal watched as it drifted backward, vanishing into the black, as if it had completed its task. He didn't. Know what that task was? Back at his private quarters, deep within the station's lower levels, Tarnal locked every channel. He took out the cracked datapad again and placed it on a secure scanner. He had missed something. The datapad was old, maybe over 100 years, but inside its ruined memory bank, there was a hidden folder, encrypted, buried. It took hours to break through. When the file finally opened, it wasn't text. It was a recording, simple audio message. He played it. A voice spoke, not robotic, not alien, human. It was deep, rough, and calm. If you're hearing this, you found what they tried to bury. We were never monsters, not at first. When you burn our homes, break our peace, and push us too far, you don't get peacekeepers, you get hunters. Tarnal sat frozen, The voice continued. We didn't disappear. We chose silence. For your safety. It's not ours. We hoped silence would be enough. But you're calling us now. Say the word again, and we will come. The message ended. Tarnell stared at the screen. His hands were sweating. Copied the message to a secure drive and erased the rest of the datapad. If the wrong person found this, he would vanish, just like the stories said happened to others who dug too deep. But someone had to know. Tarnell reached out to an old friend, Rexu, a retired officer from the silent conflict. Rexu lived in the lower levels of a moon station, alone, drunk most of the time, ignored by the galaxy. Tarnell arrived in secret. Rexu looked up from a dusty table as the agent entered. You look like you found ghosts, Rexu grunted. I did, Tarnell replied. Tell me about the silent conflict, the part they don't put in history books. Rexu narrowed his eyes. Why now? Tarnell hesitated. Because I said a word. One that's not allowed. And now something is watching. Rexu was quiet for a long time. Then he leaned forward. Let me guess, he whispered. You said human. Tarnell nodded. Rexu closed his eyes. They told us to forget. They wiped the records, burned the past. But I remember the fear. He took a deep breath. They didn't start the war. We did. Tried to conquer a small system. Didn't know it belonged to them. Thought they were just another weak race. But when we attacked, Rexu's voice cracked. They came like a storm. Silent ships. Weapons that burned through shields. No demands, no talk, just fire. Entire fleets gone in minutes. Commanders crying, planets falling quiet. It wasn't war. It was a warning, Tarnell whispered. So what happened? They gave us a message. Erase us. Erase our name. War. Face what's next. And we did. The council banned the word. Deleted every trace. Told us never to speak of them again. Tarnell leaned back. But they're still out there. Rexu nodded. A strange signal had entered the system silent, coded and untraceable, and no one could read it. But somewhere, in deep space, a listening post blinked awake, and a voice, cold and forgotten, whispered, We are coming. Tarnell couldn't return to his old life, not after what he knew, not after what he had heard. The name human now echoed in his mind like thunder behind a locked door. He kept the voice recording hidden deep inside a sealed memory crystal. Only he could open it. But even that didn't feel safe anymore. He felt watched everywhere he went, eyes in cameras, in shadows, even in silence. He needed more. Real answers. Not just fear and rumors. Rexu met him again, this time outside the station, far from official routes. They sat in a quiet clearing on a small moon with no name, under an open sky full of slow-moving stars. Tarnell played the message for Rexu again. Rexu didn't speak for a long time. Then he said, You're not the first to hear this. Tarnell looked up quickly. What do you mean? Rexu lit a small fire with a flick of his wrist. Long ago, right after the silent conflict, a secret meeting was called. I was there, just a soldier at the time. But I heard them talk. A ship had escaped from a human attack. 1 ship out of 60. What happened to the others? Tarnell asked. They didn't have time to scream, Rexu replied. Dehumans. Used weapons we couldn't understand. Some say they could break the mind before breaking the body. Some say they had machines that could move faster than light inside gravity wells. But the strangest thing, he stopped. What? Tarnell pressed. They never chased us. They never claimed territory. They didn't conquer. They just punished. Then they left. No demands. No flags. They gave us one message. Forget us. That's what scared the High Council the most. It wasn't revenge. It was discipline. Tarnell shook his head. So the word was banned to protect the galaxy? Rexu looked straight at him. No, the word was banned to stop them from hearing it again. Tarnell stared at the fire. But I already said it. I know, Rexu replied. Tarnell stood. I have to know more. There must be something left. A signal, a record, anything. There's one place, Rexu said slowly, but it's dangerous. No ships go there. All comes die. They call it the Grave Rim. Nothing returns from it. But some say it's where the last human signal was heard. A beacon, still waiting. Take me there, Tarnal said without hesitation. Rexu sighed. You really want to wake sleeping wolves? They're already turning in their sleep. Tarnal answered. 2 days later, they flew toward the Grave Rim in a stolen long-range vessel with full stealth mode. No tracking, no beacon, no comms. The Grave Rim was a dark zone at the edge of mapped space, a place with broken ships, floating wreckage, and signals that never made sense. The closer they got, the more their instruments began to fail. Then they saw it. A planet surrounded by ruined satellites, shattered defense towers, burned battleships from unknown species, all floating in silent orbit. No one's alive down there, Rexu muttered, but Tarnal shook his head. Something is. Something old. They approached slowly. As they neared, their ship was scanned by what they didn't know. Then, without warning, all systems shut off. Power, lights, engines, silence. A single beacon lit up from the surface. Tarnal leaned forward. It's a human signal, he said. The beacon sent a repeating message in a forgotten tongue. Tarnal played it through the translator. This world is protected. You have spoken the forbidden word. We heard it now. We remember. Cold wind seemed to pass through the ship, even though they were in space. Risu whispered. They're waking up. Tarnal didn't blink, good because he needed to meet them. Before the rest of the galaxy did. The air inside the ship turned heavy. Not physically, but it felt like something unseen was pressing down on Tarnal and Rexu, watching them from the dark. No warning, no weapons, yet the weight of it made breathing harder. The human beacon pulsed. Slowly from the planet below, like a heartbeat echoing across space, Tarnal activated the landing protocol. Nothing responded. I'm locked out, he said. It's not letting me land. Rexu checked his console. That's not our system anymore. They've taken control. The ship began to move slowly, without their command. The engines came to life, guided by invisible hands. The vessel descended toward the surface, smooth, steady, and silent. Tarnal gripped the armrest. Rexu closed his eyes. As they broke through the thick clouds, they saw it. The planet below was not lifeless. It was covered in strange black structures, towers, domes, satellite fields, all long abandoned, but not broken. No plants, no animals, just metal. Thousands of years old, yet not rusted. Waiting, still watching. The ship landed gently on a flat pad outside a huge circular facility. The structure had no doors, no lights, no movement. But as they stepped off the ship, the ground under their feet lit up, guiding them toward an opening wall. Still think this is a good idea? Rexu muttered. No, Tarnal said. But it's the only one left. Inside the air was cool and dry. The walls hummed quietly, alive with forgotten power. As they walked, they passed empty pods, sealed crates, and frozen machines that looked like weapons, but of a kind neither of them had seen before. Then they reached a chamber in. The center stood a tall cryopod. Inside, suspended in thick fluid, was a figure, a human. It was a woman, tall, scarred and calm. Her eyes were closed. Her arms crossed over her chest. But the moment Tarnal stepped closer, the pod hissed. The liquid drained. Steam filled the room. She opened her eyes. Rexu stepped back instinctively. Tarnal stood still. The woman looked at them without speaking, and her voice came low, steady, and clear. Why did you wake me? Tarnal's throat was dry. Because the galaxy lied about you. Because we said the word. And now, you want to know the truth. She stepped out, standing on her bare feet like she hadn't been asleep for centuries. The truth, she said. The truth is, you weren't supposed to remember us. Tarnal spoke softly. But we did. She walked past him, looking around. How many systems ban our name now? 12, Rexu replied. She gave a bitter smile. Not enough. Tarnell stepped forward. Are there more of you? She didn't answer. Instead, she touched a panel on the wall. Lights flickered on across the facility. Pod after pod lit up, hundreds of them. Each held a human, sleeping in silence. They put us to sleep, she said. Not because we lost, but because we might lose control. Of what? Tarnell asked. Of ourselves, she replied. We were built to protect. But every time we rose, someone made us monsters. Tarnell stared at the glowing pods. You going to wake them? The woman looked him in the eyes. You already did. Suddenly, the room vied, burnt. Above the planet, old defense satellites came back online. Ancient human warships hidden in deep cloaks began to power up. One by one, their eyes opened to the stars. Across the galaxy, long-dead systems picked up a signaler. Signal, not heard in over 100 years. The humans were waking, and the galaxy was about to remember why they had been forgotten. The thing the galaxy noticed was the silence. 12 star systems, long-range scanners went dark. Communication arrays failed. Patrol ships vanished without distress calls. It happened slowly, at first one station, then another. By the time the Union realized something was wrong, 5 border sectors had gone quiet back on the forgotten planet. Tarnell and Rexu stood outside the great chamber as the human woman, who still hadn't given her name, walked among the pods. One by one, she checked the systems. Eyes scanning readings from machines that hadn't been touched in generations. Tarnell finally asked, What happens now? She stopped in front of a pod and placed her hand on the glass. Now, she said. Softly now, the question must be answered. What question? Rexu asked. She looked up. Do we return as protectors, or as punishment? A loud hum shook the ground beneath them. Then the walls of the facility split open to reveal the sky, dark, star-filled, and no longer empty. Massive ships rose from the planet's crust, each shaped like blades, their hulls untouched by time. No symbols, no flags, just quiet power. Tarnell stared in disbelief. Those ships, how many? The woman replied, Enough. The human fleet had been buried, hidden under the ground, waiting for the signal. Now, as they ascended the stars, themselves seemed to shift. From his datapad, Tarnell received a broken message from the Union's deep monitoring post. Unidentified vessels spotted. Signal patterns match erased historical records. We believe the humans are real. And then, silence. In the chamber, the first pod opened. A man stepped out. His face was calm, his eyes sharp. He said nothing, just looked at the woman. She nodded. Another pod opened. Then another. One by one, the crew began to rise. Some stretched. Some looked around. None panicked. None asked questions. It was as if they knew this day would come. Tarnell watched them. They didn't carry weapons. They didn't speak of war. But their presence alone felt like standing beside a storm waiting to happen. Finally, the woman turned to Tarnell. You called us back, she said. So now you must decide what comes next. I don't speak for the galaxy, Tarnell replied. But you're the first one who asked why we were forgotten, she said. That matters. She activated a console and displayed a star map. 12 systems flashed red. They banned our name. They feared it, but fear doesn't erase memory. The systems that silenced us, some of them hunted us. Some betrayed peace. Some just watched and did nothing. But we remember all of them. Rexu stepped forward. If you go to war, they'll panic. They'll burn everything to stop you. She turned her gaze to him. They already tried. How we got here? Tarnell asked. Is there still time for peace? She hesitated. Maybe, but it's not our decision anymore. The galaxy asked for silence. It broke it. The warships aligned in formation. Silent. Waiting. Suddenly, a message came in on a wide-frequency broadcast. A voice from the Union, nervous, shaking. Unknown vessels, identify yourselves. You are violating restricted space. This is a direct violation of the Galactic Peace Act. Respond immediately, or prepare to be the message cut off. On the human console, a signal blinked. The woman looked at it, then at Tarnal. They just targeted us. Rexu shook his head. Idiots. She turned back to the fleet and gave a single word. Wait. Nothing moved. But the ships held their position, silent, ready. Then she spoke quietly to Tarnal. If there is still a chance for peace, must. Come now, because the next word spoken may decide whether the stars burn or stay bright. Tarnal looked out at the human fleet. He knew the Union was afraid, but they had no idea what was truly awake and what it meant for a name to be remembered. The Union Council scrambled in panic. 12 systems were in emergency mode. Fleets were deployed, drones launched. Warnings flashed across every military channel. Unidentified fleet, unknown tech, possible re-emergence of banned species. No one said the word. They couldn't. It was still banned. On the Forgotten World, Tarnal stood beside the human woman on a high platform, watching the warships hover like silent giants above the planet. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. All dark steel and sharp angles, no visible weapons, but still terrifying. They didn't need to threaten. Their very presence was a warning. The woman finally gave her name. Commander Alia Gray, she said, standing with hands behind her back. First Fleet, Salsgard. Tarnal nodded. I'm Tarnal Just, a truth seeker. More than that now, she replied. We're the first non-human to call us back. It's below the rest. Of the human crew moved with precision, activating systems, powering up weapons that didn't hum or shine, just existed, unseen and deadly. Alia didn't give orders. They already knew what to do. Suddenly, a new signal came in. It's not from the Union, from a pirate channel, one used by smugglers, black markets, and broken mercenaries. Tarnal patched it through. The voice was shaking. They attacked the blockade near Drift Point. 3 Union destroyers gone. No debris, no escape pods. Just gone. Leah didn't blink. That wasn't us. Tarnal turned to her. Then who? She was quiet for a moment. Then, said others. Rexu, who had been silently listening from the side, stepped forward. What do you mean, others? There were more than just one fleet, Alia said. The first guard stayed asleep, buried here, but others didn't. Some were scattered. Some went rogue. Some never forgave. Tarnal's stomach dropped. So even you don't know where all the humans are. Alia looked up at the stars. We chose silence. Tarnal. But silence doesn't mean unity. The galaxy wanted to forget us, and we let it. But now, not all of us agree on what happens. Next, before he could respond, another signal came in. This one from deep space, raw and terrifying. We are the Forgotten Sons. The Union burned our worlds, lied, buried truth. We are not returning. We are taking. Alia's jaw tightened. They've begun. Tarnal's heart raced. So this is it? Another war? No, she said. This is the part where we try to stop it. She activated a fleet-wide command and spoke with full authority. This is Commander Gray to all human ships. We have awakened. But our strength means nothing without control. We will not strike first. But we will end whatever others begin. In a moment, every ship responded with a single blink of their navigation light's acknowledgement. Unity.Risu looked toward the sky. Even if you hold back, the Union will panic. They'll fire first. They always do. Tarnal stepped forward. Then we speak. We get ahead of this. We show the galaxy the truth before someone else writes it for them. Alia nodded. Then come with me. Within the hour, Tarnal stood on the command deck of the human flagship. It was vast and cold, but not heartless. Everything inside the ship was built for efficiency, not luxury. Screens showed the Union fleet gathering, weapons charging, ships moving into strike formation. Tarnal activated a wideband broadcast open to every system. He spoke clearly. This is Agent Tarnal. Of the Galactic Truth Office, what you feared has returned. Us. But they are not invaders. They are witnesses. The ones you tried to forget came not to destroy. They came to see if the galaxy had changed. There was no reply. Then a message came from a Union commander. They are a threat. They're armed. We can't trust them. The Fremen said only one sentence. Then fire, if that's what you believe. But only once. The screen went black. Tarnal turned to her. What now? Alia's eyes didn't leave the stars. Now we wait for the galaxy to decide who it truly fears more, us, or its own guilt. The next move would decide everything. Peace or ashes. Above the forgotten world, two great fleets faced each other in silence. On one side, the Union. Armada over 200 ships, shields raised, weapons charged, captains nervous and angry, waiting for a signal they hoped wouldn't come. On the other side, the reawakened human fleet sleek. Black vessels with no visible weapons, no flashing lights, no movement. But everyone watching knew these ships didn't need to glow or growl to be deadly. They simply existed, and that was enough to terrify the galaxy. Tarnal stood beside Commander Alia Gray on the bridge of the flagship Saul's Edge. All around them, the crew worked in quiet focus. No one panicked. No one shouted. That they had done. This before long ago. The galaxy just didn't remember it. Rexu sat near the rear monitors, hands trembling slightly. They're still charging, he said, looking at the Union ships. One wrong signal, and this becomes a massacre. Alia didn't flinch. We will not fire first. Tarnal spoke quietly. But they think you will. Just then, a message came in. Die. A high-security channel. A direct line from the Union High Council. It was a voice Tarnal recognized. Senator Voren, one of the loudest supporters of the word ban. This is Senator Voren. To the awakened fleet, stand down or you will be erased. We do not negotiate with weapons. Alia raised an eyebrow. Is that what they told themselves after they burned our colonies? Tarnal looked at her. Let me speak to him. He opened the channel. Senator Voren, this is Agent Tarnal. I've seen their history. I've heard their truth. Records were not erased to protect us. They were erased to protect the lie. You don't fear them because they're violent. You fear them because they remember what you did. There was no reply for a long time. Then quietly, it doesn't matter. We've come too far. We can't allow the name to return. The screen cut out. Tarnal turned to Alia. They're going to fire. Alia nodded. Then we make sure history remembers who tried to stop it. She gave a command. Cross the human fleet. The outer holes shifted. Strange geometric patterns appeared like armor rearranging itself. A soft blue pulse flowed over each ship. It was a shield. But not a normal one. Rexu stared. That's not defense. That's something else, Alia confirmed. It's a mirror field. If they fire, it returns. On the Union side, the first strike was ordered. A single destroyer launched a beam of energy bright, loud, and unstoppable. It tore through space like a spear, and then it hit the mirror field. The beam bounced reverse back toward the destroyer that launched it. The ship had no time to react. It vanished in a silent explosion. The Union fleet froze. No one spoke. No one moved. Even the stars seemed to pause. Then came a transmission not from the humans, but from one of the Union captains. We're standing. Down, we won't die for a lie. One by one, Union ships powered down weapons. Their formations broke. Damn. Some turned away entirely. Others remained still, confused and shaken. The chain of command had cracked. The war never came. Tarnal exhaled for the first time in minutes. It's over. Alia gave a small nod. Oh, it's only beginning. In the days that followed, the truth spread like wildfire. The word human was spoken in markets, oncomes, in homes, in songs. Children asked about them. Elders remembered. Banned history was recovered. Secret files leaked. And everywhere that word was spoken, people looked to the stars, because now they knew the truth. The most dangerous word in the galaxy was never about violence. It was about memory, and the galaxy had remembered. Tarnell recorded the first official log. The name human was erased to protect power, not peace. But now it has returned. And with it comes a question no one dares ignore. What happens when those you tried to forget come back stronger than ever? The word was no longer banned. But for many across the stars, it would always carry a warning. Say it with respect, or don't say it at all.